Everything is about expectation in business. So if you're working with a family member and you've not got clear guidelines of the roles and responsibilities, it can get messy. And if things don't work out, now you might jeopardize your relationship. If you're working on a business, get your wife out of her job, put her on the payroll. Now it's tax deductible. Give me a risk assessment on what I'm doing and what I'm saying, not to tell me what I can and can't do.
There are two kinds of competition. One is compete on the value or the service on the market you offer.
Yep.
The one type of competition is they just try to pull you down so they can step up. Your favorite slogan, always be closing.
I don't know if that's my favorite closing. Oh, you're taking the mic.
Guys, so today we have a special guest and we are honored to be joined by Samuel Leeds, the founder of Property Investors and a highly successful property investor with a portfolio of over 300 deals and including the remarkable acquisition of 20-bedroom castle with a history spanning over 1,000 years. And Samuel, along with his wife Amanda, is also deeply involved in philanthropy through the Samuel Leeds Foundation. So Samuel, I'm honored to have you as a guest in our podcast. Thank you so much.
Thank you, it's a real pleasure.
Thank you so much. So before moving forward, I have your favorite slogan, always be closing.
I don't know if that's my favorite closing. Oh, you're taking the mic.
I saw literally a few days ago, I saw the podcast with...
You got me for a minute. I was thinking, ooh.
Tell me about it. So
I think always be closing is something that I've heard a lot. In fact, there's even books titled Always Be Closing. And I don't agree because I think that people that are always closing in sales tend to be annoying because they're trying to close too early. So I believe in sales. Sales is about listening, asking questions, and then at the right time, if the person's qualified, if the person's ready, then close. But always be closing. It just doesn't make any sense to me, but it's something that people do say a lot, but I don't get it.
Right, okay. So another question, Samuel. After a long time we met each other, right? After losing 5 stone from your body, has that made an impact on your life, changing your physical and emotional well-being as a result?
Well, it's definitely made an impact on my life. I've lost 5 stone, so I'm slimmer and I'm fitter. I always had energy, so when I was I'm now 32, I'd be traveling around the country, meetings, running events. I've always had a lot of energy, but I was just thinking, I've got energy because I'm young, but I'm obese. So if I don't do something now, then maybe by the time I'm in my 40s or certainly 50s, then it might be too late. So I lost 5 stone last year, and definitely feel not just better in my physical self, but also my kids were getting to the age where they were noticing, so that my boy will be like, "Daddy, why is your belly so big?" And I thought that's not a great role model as a dad. You don't want to. And what are you going to say to your kid? You're going to say, "Oh, it's just because I ate too much," but don't worry, it's fine. Now you're saying it's okay. Now you're saying it's acceptable. So I lost a lot of weight. So I'm currently, kind of probably the lightest, certainly the strongest I've ever been as an adult.
And you look a lot young as well.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. A lot of people said that. Yeah.
Okay, another question is this is interesting question. People say don't get into business with your brother or family. It's a bad idea. What's your opinion on that?
Again, I hear that a lot. People say don't do business with you. I know you do business with your brother, right?
Yes.
I think that it's brilliant. I think it's wonderful if you can do business with your family. I don't think that you should force it.
Yeah.
And I think that you should remember that it's business first, and you should always have contracts. Everything is about expectation in business. So if you're working with a family member and you've not got clear guidelines of the roles and responsibilities, it can get messy. And the danger with working with family is if things don't work out, now you might jeopardize your relationship.
Yes.
You can hire a member of staff, and then after a year or two, if it's not working out, then you can just maneuver them out of the company.
Yes. Yeah.
But you can't do that so easily when they're family. So I definitely think that it can come with dangers or risks. But for me, it's worked out brilliant. I work with my wife, my mom, my stepdad, my brother, who's actually my business partner, in-laws, my wife's brother. There's loads of us all working on the business, and it's great.
Yeah, because a lot of people say that do not get into business with the family.
Yeah, and I understand that there's a risk, but there's a lot of trust amongst your family.
Exactly, yeah.
And if you've got a strong bond, let's say with your wife or your brother, and also there's a lot of tax advantages. Like when people start out in business, it makes sense to employ your family because especially your wife, If you're working on a business, get your wife out of her job, put her on the payroll. Now it's tax deductible.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's tax advantages, and I'm talking embryo exchanges. But for me, it's been a dream working with my family. Everybody understands that the business is serious and that the business is important. And nobody's looking for a free ride or a free lunch. But I love working with my family. Also, like, it keeps the other staff on their toes. You've got a sales department or a finance team, and you've got 6-7 people in the team, and one of them's your brother-in-law. You know what I'm saying? Like, everyone's slightly on their it's like your eyes and ears are everywhere amongst the company. And certainly with my brother, you know, we've got such a strong bond. We've never had an argument in business. Well, I say never had an argument. That's kind of true. We debate stuff all the time, but we've never fallen out. We've never got really angry and not spoken to each other. And, you know, we've been business partners now since, I think, 2018. So sort of maybe about 6 years. And before we joined forces, me and my brother, we spent a lot of time talking about the logistics of how is it going to work. And, you know, a problem that I do see is when people set up a company. This is the thing. There's no reason to set a company up with your family. You set a company up, they can set a company, whatever. Work together. You don't have to jump into bed and say, we're going to... Because what can happen, and I've seen this happen, is, you know, like you get like a couple brothers and their friend, and they all set up a company. And then after 6 months, one person's doing the work, and the other two are sort of just tagging along. And that can breed resentment. So you've got to think these things through. But I think if done properly, it can be extremely successful.
Right. So as you said, it's a business first.
Yeah.
You had the vision. How did you manage to get your family and your brother on the same boat?
Be successful and let them see you succeed. And my brother would not have wanted to partner with me if he hadn't at first seen me making very good money. So, and that's another thing. Don't try and get your family all on board really early on. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're a visionary, and you've got a vision to do something, don't try and get everybody to come in on the vision early on. You go do your thing. You go build something, and then let them join after. That's also smart. That's the case with all my family. Even my brother, you know, yes, we're business partners, but I built something up big first. And then he was like, okay. He'd built up his own things as well. He ended up selling his businesses off and using the money to buy into my business. So, you know, don't be trying to persuade everybody. The only way to persuade somebody that what you're doing is good is to show them the results. Show them the results. And people say to me all the time, oh, my mum doesn't believe in me. Oh, I want to get into property investment, but my dad thinks it's risky. Okay, cool. Don't try to persuade him. Don't tell him anything. You crack on and just do what you're doing. And when you're driving a nice car and you've got a big house, then he'd be like, okay, maybe I can get in on this. And if not, then fine. You know, let him do his thing.
You just carry on with your own.
You don't have to get everybody in on your business. It's like even if you've got a spouse and they don't really understand it, they don't get it, don't try and force anyone to do anything. As the moment you try and control something that is out of your control, that leads to misery.
Yes, I agree.
So if someone's not interested, you can't control whether they have a fire in their belly. That you can't control whether they even support you. So what you can control, namely your actions, focus on. What you can't control, leave it.
Right. Otherwise, you will end up forcing on them instead of focusing on your business.
Yeah. And then if it doesn't work, then you're deadly screwed. Because now it's like you got everybody in. Just build your thing. Build your thing. Build it quietly. Let the results speak for itself.
Right. Okay. So, like as you know, my brother in my business, so he does all the management side, and it's been only a year he's in the UK.
Right.
So he's managing over 100 properties in all of the
Wow, that's good.
So he learned a lot, and so some tips to straighten the bond between brothers you'd like to share.
I think just good communication. You know, if me and my brother, we're both reasonable people, and neither of us are, you know, crazy or have unrealistic expectations. We're both reasonable people. So if you just communicate everything, if you've got a niggle, just communicate it. Be honest. Be vulnerable. You know, look, I feel that's actually a bit unfair, or I feel like I'm getting a bit of pressure on me. I'm struggling. Help me. I think that's a good tip. And also, if you're going to be growing a business with somebody, certainly with your brother, the business has to come first. You can't be putting your own. You can't be putting your own feelings. I work harder than you, and you. No, every decision that you make has to be what's best for the business. And if you're both thinking what's best for the business and you're pulling in the same direction, then that will lead to a strong bond.
So one is communication.
Yeah.
And the other one is best what is good for the business.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
And also, if you've got somebody in your family who wants to be part of your business, but they're not prepared to say business comes first. I got people like that in my family. They're not prepared to say, business comes first, and I'm going to sacrifice my life, and I'll happily get up at 6 a.m. and I'll do whatever needs to be done. They're not that way inclined. You can still employ them and have them work with you on the business, but you just know. You've got A players, B players, and C players. So okay, this person's an A player. They can work alongside me. They can work in senior management. They can even be my business partner. This person, they're a C player. You can still work with them. You can employ them, but just you don't have to be all absolutely out for the business. I got some people in my family that work part-time. Just do some bookkeeping or some customer service stuff, work 10, 20 hours a week in the family. That's fine.
So in your family, let's say one of your member is not doing the work as expected.
Yes.
So how you will convince him or her to get into business or to carry on with other things?
Yeah, well, for the start, whenever you employ somebody, and I have had this mistake, I had somebody who was a loose relative, my mum's sort of side of the family, cousins, sort of, even slightly further than that, cousins, partners. And we've had a situation whereby things haven't worked out. In fact, it wasn't really, from memory, we were moving location. So it wasn't even like oh, you're terrible. But they ended up feeling like, oh my gosh, I've just started this job. And now, less than a year, you're moving locations. Now, where does that leave me? And it caused a real rift in the family. I mean, there's always two sides to every story, and everything's complicated, nothing's straightforward. But I learned from that, and this was quite a few years. This was many years ago now. But I learned from that when you're employing somebody, especially if they're family or they're a friend, because I headhunt a lot of friends. I've employed, I've had my school teachers working with me. I've had my entire class that I went to school with now work on my business.
Wow.
Now that sounds more impressive than it is because there was only 3 of us.
Your best friend Elliot.
Yeah, he went to the business, and also Chelsea as well. We went to school together. There was the 3 of us in the class, a very small school. But my point is, when you hire somebody, you have to be really clear of expectations. So it's like, look, this is the job description. This is what you need to do. Now listen. I know that we love you. I know that you're my best friend from school. Or I know you're my brother or whatever it is. But if things aren't working out either side, this is not a if we don't like you, we're going to fight. No, if things aren't working out either side, if after 3 months you're not enjoying your role, or if after 3 months we don't feel that you're actually the right fit, we will potentially be having to part ways. And I want to just let you know up front, if that does happen, hopefully it won't. I think obviously because we're employing you and you're taking the job. But if that does happen. We don't want you to be offended. We don't want you to affect our relationship. So setting those expectations. And of course, if you do fire them, of course it will affect the relationship a little bit because everyone's human. But being clear up front, so people don't come on the company thinking, I went to school with Samuel, so I can do what I want, or he's my brother, or he's my. No, it's not. And being clear up front about that is important. And then if things aren't working out, in the past we've had members of staff who are even friends, things haven't been working out, but instead of firing them, just having honest conversations. Look, this isn't really working out. How do you feel? Yeah, I probably agree. All right, cool. Look, obviously, we don't want to fire you. That'd be crazy. But maybe you should start looking for another job. We'll help you. We'll give you references. Or maybe we can move you to a different role within the company. Just things like that. Just being a reason. Business is simple. People are complicated. Business is simple. Common sense.
Yeah, which is not very common.
Sometimes, people get very emotional about things. But it's just being a decent human being and communicating clearly, putting the business first, not being selfish, paying people well, and I think generally you'll prosper.
Right, yeah. I mean, that's a really good tip actually when you are having a family member, brother in the business. So as you are in property, how long have you been in the property?
I've been in property now for 15 years.
For 15 years?
Yeah.
So Samuel, I've seen a lot of advertisement where people say there are 40 different strategies to invest in property, 50. So from your point of view, exactly how many strategies are there to invest in property?
Oh wow! Well, you can take one strategy and you can split it into like 5 different strategies. I did a video yesterday talking about, I think it was 7 different strategies I've used, which each strategy has made me £1 million or more. But yeah, I mean, the thing is with properties, yeah, you can be like buy to let, buying a house, renting it out, but then you could buy it on a residential mortgage and switch it to a buy to let, or you could rent it to a housing association. Is that a different strategy? Well, not really. You could have a HMO, a student HMO, or so. You know, how many strategies are there? I guess you could say there's probably an unlimited amount of strategies. But I think having a toolbox and being like, look, you know, I understand these different strategies. I know how to finance them. If you can find good deals, you can raise the finance. You have good exit strategies in place. You know, you can like a toolbox or like a golfer. People say to me all the time, what's the best strategy? And it's like, well, it depends what shot I'm taking. If you're a golfer, you have multiple clubs depending on where the ball is. And in the same way with property, I've gone for viewings and in my mind I've been thinking, oh, this will be a great development project. And then I got there and I thought, actually, this could be a fantastic purchase option agreement. In fact, I'll buy this on an option agreement, get planning, and I'm not even going to build. I'm just going to pass it on with plan. So being fluid and adaptive, and also to the time that we're in. So the rules and regulations are constantly changing in the property market, especially in the UK. So I wouldn't necessarily have one strategy. Like it sometimes scares me when people are like, I've got 100 rent to SAs, but I own nothing. I've got no exit strategies. Because all it takes is a rule regulation change, and then suddenly you go from making 50 grand a month to making nothing. So, you know, I think having a diverse understanding of different strategies, I think is important. But yeah, there's probably an unlimited amount.
Yeah. So you mentioned about exit strategy. So now I'm in the business. So last year only we have sourced over 100 deals to our buy-to-let investor. Where do we find the deal? We do the mortgage, legal, letting, and accounting as well. So as a one package. And now, same client want us to manage the property.
Great.
So that leads us to open a management company.
Yes.
So in business, at what time we should start focusing on the exit strategy?
The thing is with that business, like deal selling, I think what you're talking about, right? Is it's just a trading business, isn't it? So you're selling a deal, you're making cash. So the worst thing really that can go wrong, assuming that you've got all your legals right and the deals are good, which I'm sure they are, the only real thing that could go wrong in that business would just be that your marketing dries up, or you stop being able to find the deals. House prices go a bit too high and the rents don't catch up, and now the yields aren't as good, and now you something like that. But that's not really going to leave you in a terrible situation, because it's just going to mean, okay, our business was booming and now it's not booming. You're not going to suddenly lose everything. So I would say if you've got a trading business like that, like what you're doing, as long as you're putting money aside, and what you don't want to do is you're not in a situation whereby you've been working for 3 years, smashing it as a deal seller, you know, making 50 grand a month, whatever it is, absolutely killing it. And then after 3 years, things dry up a little bit and go a bit quiet, and then you're like, where's the money? Well, I went on some nice holidays, you know, and got a nice car, which is depreciated in value, but what have I actually got to show for the fruits of my labour? So if you're doing a trading business, which I think everybody should have everybody needs fast pound and slow pound. If you've got the fast pound going well, just strategically dump that money into slow pound, which I know you're doing anyway. So you're building up your own portfolio whilst also growing your trading business for the fast pound.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing at the moment.
And then the exit strategy of deal sourcing would be more a case of it being adaptive. So when I was doing heavily doing deal sourcing in HMOs, I was working in Wolverhampton around about 2014, 2015. Over those couple of years, I sold over 200 deals. So I was like absolutely killing it, charging about £3 grand a fee. So really good fast pound. And then one of my investors said to me, Samuel, have you heard about the new rule change in Wolverhampton? I'm like, no, can't do it anymore. What do you mean? They're bringing in Article 4 direction, taking away permitted development rights to turn a house into a HMO. My entire strategy was reliant on finding houses and then selling them to investors, and the vision was to rent it out as HMO. So I'm like, damn, what do I do? Well, at that point, I could have just said, oh, I have to stop. But what I did was I'm like, okay, well, how can I adapt? Right? Move area, change strategy slightly. Instead of changing it from C3 to C4, change it from C3 to C3B, like adapting. So I think with any business as well, like when we went into lockdown, I, as you know, I've got a successful training business, running lots of events, big events. Yeah. Now we're in lockdown. Okay. So what do? Well, we adapt. Okay, can we do things online? Can we make things more virtual? So I think any entrepreneur, if you're investing, you need an exit strategy. But if you're in business, you need to just make sure that you're ready to adapt and pivot when need to be.
Yeah. So I think that's the difference between someone who can achieve bigger goals and someone who just plays the rules. Like, because of that, I was doing good. Because of that new rules, now I'm back to this. I can't do anything.
You've got to create your own economy.
Yeah. And currently, at the moment, Samuel, how many income streams do you have?
Oh man, quite a lot actually. Quite a lot. I mean, I did have a letting agency back in the day, which I sold off. But it was good business. But I just
in Wolverhampton or
Wolverhampton, and we also covered sort of like Stoke-on-Trent area. Right now, I've got my personal property investments, which my wife manages and oversees. Then I've got my business property investments. We're now stepping more into commercial side of things. Property development. So we've got quite a lot of properties that we've developed and sold off, which has been a great source of income. So it's all property. We've also got property apps and stuff. So we've got shares in different fintech companies like Deal Sourcer, for example. We own shares in that, which is actually surprisingly successful. We make quite good money from that. So yeah, how many? I guess it depends how you split it up. You split up my personal property investment. I've also got trusts. I've got a pension. I've got a SAS pension, which we invest, which is working very nicely into commercial property. So I've got all my investments, all my property stuff. I've got my fintech, my apps. Obviously, I've got my training that I do as well, and then little bits and bobs, book sales, sponsorships, YouTube ad revenue, which is peanuts, but I guess I can't count, Nick, is the honest answer. I have too many streams of revenue to count, but they're all in one. My life and my business is all one. Even my training business, I'm collaborating with my students. Oh, I've also got Samuel Leeds Finance. How could I forget the one that will make me a billionaire? Which we've loaned out £4 million into our students' deals. So we train them, loan them money, developments ourselves. Sometimes a student will bring me a deal and it'll be too big for them. We had a factory. One of my students found a factory in Wolverhampton, which was too big for her. So we bought it, but we paid her a fee. Now we're converting that into 48 apartments in Wolverhampton. So the problem with multiple streams of income is when people are doing drop shipping and Bitcoin and puppy walking and got all these completely random, all over the place, pulling their time, pulling from pillar to post, chasing the next shiny penny. If you're going to have multiple streams of income, really, I think it should be, generally speaking, it should be one sort of industry. So rather than, there's some exceptions. There's people that I coach like footballers that make a lot of money in football and then they do property, that's fine. But I don't think you should be having, like with you got your letting agency, you got your deal selling, it links. But having just a complete, random, I'm a Forex trader at night and then I'm a property investor in the morning and I do drop shipping in the afternoon and I'm also trying to start a plumbing and heating business. It's just like, no, just focus on one. Focus on one, become successful, make a load of money and then dump that into a passive investment asset like property or something else. I think that's probably the smartest way to go about business.
Yeah, I think I still remember your one saying you said, instead of chasing 2 rabbits, chase one, otherwise you'll catch none. That's the one thing that made me make a decision to leave the army. Actually, I'm focusing on property. I'm trying to do army as well. If I try to chase both, I'll end up nowhere.
Probably.
So I have to choose one.
I think so. I think that's generally good advice. There are some people that can. I know there's a guy called Nabrinda who's a soldier, and he works hard, man. And when I met him, he was like all over the place, traveling all over the world, being a soldier. I don't know too much about the ins and outs of what he does. And he said to me, I want to do property and I want to continue in the army. And he's ended up selling loads of deals to his soldier friends. Like he packages and sells them deals, and he's actually very, very successful. But then some people. I met this one soldier, his name's Ross Oric. and he was told he was also in the army, he was a soldier, and he was told, if you wait 3 years, you're going to get a big fat pension. And he was like, I don't care. Keep your pension. And now again, he's really successful as well. So there's no necessarily right or wrong, but what certainly is wrong is doing like 5 things all at once. Just, focus on one. If you've got a day job and you want to do you want to build up your fortune alongside your day job, that's fine. Yeah. But yeah, don't try and chase too many things all at once. I would 100% agree.
Right. So as you have different businesses, Samuel, so how do you make sure you give time to every businesses?
That's the thing. They're all one.
Linked with each other.
They're all linked. Yeah. So if I'm out looking at a property, I'll document it and send it to my students. Now that's my training business. My training business, I'll be mentoring people on the phone, and then a student will come and they'll go, I've got this deal, but I can't finance it. Oh, I got a finance company. We can work with you. Now I'm making money over here. They're all linked. My deal source of the fintech, I will use that myself while finding deals, and now my students will use it. So all my businesses, if someone wants to pay me, sponsor me to wear a t-shirt on YouTube, I'm wearing the t-shirt, I'm doing the YouTube video anyway, which is helping grow my different businesses. It's all linked. So I'm not like having to say, this time I'll do this. So it's all linked. However, my training business, I spend 7 days a month on my training business. So about a quarter, is that a quarter? Roughly. About a quarter of my time I'm training. But even when I'm not training and I'm not running my training business, I'm still thinking about it. I'm doing deals and I'm still, I might do a YouTube video randomly but 7 days is where I block off my diary to just focus on my students, mentoring, training, teaching, and giving out.
Right, wow. So Samuel, what's the most amount of money you have lost in a month?
Most amount of money I've lost in a month. I've not lost money for a very long time. In the minus that month. I don't know. I don't really tend to lose money very much.
Or we can flip it. The most amount of money you have made in a month.
Most money I've made in a month?
Yeah.
Again, it's a hard one to answer because, take some of our developments. When the money comes in, bang, we just made £1 million on a development. Did you actually make it that month, or was it the work that you've been doing, for the last 2 years? We're dealing with planning and builders, but the actual reward comes. Generally, our business, last month or this month, January, as we're filming, it's obviously the very end of January, our business, all together, all the businesses, the turnover is about 1.7 million, which is it's pretty standard. It's decent. I can't remember the last time we turned over less than $1 million in a month. It's been years. I
remember the podcast with Russ. You said we made 1 million and that made you unsatisfied. And then you did again the calculation, accounting.
No, it's coming up towards the end of the month. We were about 4 days off, and we usually do our management. We do our finance meeting usually on the 7th. But sometimes I'm checking in, what we on right now, what's happening. Got to be on your finances. Yeah. About 4 days left of the month, and they said I think it was 1,050,000, and I was like, what? We've got 4 days left of the month. That's terrible. And I was really, really annoyed about it, to be honest. And then it turned out I think there was a digit wrong. It was actually 1.5, and there was a digit wrong or something like that, or there wasn't, some stuff wasn't accounted for.
Yeah.
And then it's actually 1.5, and I was like, okay, cool. So we ended up at about 1.6, which is fine.
Right. Okay. So Samuel, according to Google, your net worth is $27.6 million.
Yeah.
How accurate is that?
Well, that was my net worth was valued in 2020, or thereabouts during lockdown, 2021 maybe. And I had an independent valuation, from accountants and stuff that came to the valuation. It came in, I think it came in around 20 million. But that was a few years ago now. So I'd like to think it's a lot more. But I'd rather, everyone says my net worth is 20 million when the newspapers, because that was when I'd rather just let that run and just be like, 20 million.
Still quite.
Rather than going the other way. Because some people exaggerate their net worth. They'll try and push it up a little bit. Number one, no one cares. Yeah. No one cares if it's 10 or 20. No one cares if it's 20 or 40. No one cares if it's 100 or 200. It doesn't matter. No one cares. The only person that cares is the person. You know what I mean? To most people, it's just like, okay, he's rich. That's fine. Yeah. So no one really cares. And if you exaggerate it and try and make it look more than it is, and then Forbes do a full thing on you, and you end up submitting all your documents, and it's a bit less, and then it's like, you said it was 100, and it's actually only 70.
It's different, yeah.
I'd rather just let people say, yeah, it's 20, but it's a lot more than that. Right. But we'll go with 20.
All right, we'll go with the 20.
Yeah, we'll go with 20.
So you have business, you do your work back in Zimbabwe as well. You have your student who you help to get into property. How you wish to be remembered, Samuel?
How I wish to be remembered, firstly, by my kids and my family, is just somebody who gave life their everything, gave their best shot, and was a good example, brought the best out of people, lived life to its fullest. And I guess on a business level, the reason I'm pushing still to grow more and continue to work hard is because I want to be the best version of myself. I don't want to say, okay, I achieved this, this, and this, which is good, but I could have done way more. And I want to impact as many people as I can. I want to change the way that people see finances. I want to change we just built a couple of schools in Uganda, and I want to be part of the making sure that kids understand financial education, they're financially literate. I think it's a disgrace that you go through school for 16, 18 years, and you leave school and you don't know how to balance books, or how to understand a profit and loss sheet, or understand base rate and the central banking system and how it works. How do the banks make money? And people just are so clueless. I think that it's a tragedy, and I want to help change that so that people can live a better life, people can thrive. And if people want to be in business and want to be in property, they can, because property especially is a rich person's game. If you're rich, or if your parents are rich, you can thrive in property. But most people think that if they don't have lots of money, it's the rich man's game. But actually, no, it's not. It doesn't have to be a rich man's game. And bridging the gap, between the rich and poor, the working class and the rich. I'm pretty working class. I grew up with not a lot of money. I wasn't ever given any money to get started in property, and I've not only been successful myself, but I've been able to inspire, educate, mentor, train thousands of other people. And for me, that's a life with purpose, and it's a life that is fulfilling. So I want to be remembered for doing that and being great at it.
Right. Please correct me if I'm wrong. So back in days, you used to do magic tricks and events, isn't it?
Yep.
Right. Do you still do for your kids?
Surprisingly, interestingly, we actually had an entertainer come and do. My boy turned 5 yesterday, and I booked an entertainer, and it was quite weird because I only did that for a short while, to be honest. I worked full time as an entertainer for my dad for about 3 or 4 months when I left school. And then I kind of kept my hand in a little bit because my brother was doing it. But no, it's something that. It's a tough business, man. Not only is it a tough business, but it's a hard gig. I was watching the Spider-Man entertainer yesterday, and all the kids, and he was entertaining them making balloon animals, and they had a little disco thing, and that's exactly, I wasn't Spider-Man, but that's the exact sort of thing I was doing. So we tipped him and everything, made his life nice and easy, because I remember what it's like. But yeah, that was my first proper job, if you can call it a proper job, alongside cleaning the snooker tables, plastering, paper rounds,
Wow. So you did that for 3 months, 3 to 4 months?
Yeah, 3 or 4 months. Well, when I left school, I was working for my dad. So that was like my main gig. And I didn't like it that much. So I quit. But when I quit, my brother and also my dad's business partner would sometimes ask me to cover them. So they'd be like, we've got this thing. But it was very much like, we know your property business comes first. If you're traveling, it's fine. So I kind of kept my hand in for a few years. And then I did some charity shows and different things like that. Even now, it's tempting, because I see the kids loving it. I'm like, I can do that shit, man. I can make balloon animals still. So it's fun. But yeah, so I did it for a few months properly, and then kind of broke free of that and got into the property market. Bought my first house in 2009, which
with the help of your relatives, isn't it?
Kind of. Yeah. So I got a mentor that helped me learn how to find the properties. And when I found this property, I was too young to get a mortgage. So my mum's husband, Tim, who now we're really good friends, he He didn't give me any money for the house, but he was like a guarantor for me to get the finance.
Yeah, I still remember that story you said. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was, and again, like, you know, I have so much love and respect for everybody that helped me kind of in my journey, leaders, mentors, even Simon Zucci. He was one of the first people that ever sort of like the property trainer, so to speak, and he kind of gave me a bit of a leg up and helped me. Spent 45 minutes with me on the phone. I was only 17, you know, and now I've got him to come, and he's going to be coming on the panel next week at one of our events where we've got like 400 Academy members, and just to honour him, you know. I think honouring people that helped you is important. But I certainly wasn't given any handouts, you know. Nobody sort of, here's a deposit for you. My family didn't have the money to do that, and if they did have, they probably wouldn't have anyway. So yeah, it was a tough start, but I've been pretty successful.
Wow. So let's circle back just to one question. So what made you get into property in the first place? There are so many businesses you can do property.
It was because when I was working for my dad, doing the gigs. Yeah. I didn't like it particularly. I wasn't free. I couldn't even go to church because I had to work on Sundays. And I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. And Rich Dad Poor Dad was all about breaking free of being in a job and making money work for you and all this stuff. Great book. But he sort of leans towards real estate.
Right, okay.
And I know now he talks a lot about gold and silver and Bitcoin. But certainly when I was reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, and when I was following him, it was all real estate. That was how he made his money. That was what. So I was like, okay, cool. So I ended up going to some property networks. That's how I met Simon Zucci. I went to a pin meeting, met Simon Zucci.
Right. Okay.
And I started going on courses and stuff. And again, everyone told me I was crazy. Like a lot of my friends and family, when I was a teenager, oh, you're getting scammed. Why are you going on these courses? But the funny thing is, they'll clap someone going to university. Oh, you're going to university to study drama. Congratulations. But me, it was like, what are you doing? Yeah. So yeah, I think that property, you know, if you look on the Sunday Times rich list, pretty much everybody there is involved in property somewhere or another. They either got rich through property or they got rich and now they're in property. But so it just seemed like the obvious, just made sense. Yeah. At one point I was thinking about getting into cars. I was thinking I could buy cars and then split them up and sell the bits off or refurb them. And then I was thinking, I could just do it with property. And the margins might be similar. But you make 20% net profit on a car. You're gonna. What's the average price of a car? $5,000. You know, you might make $1,000. But the average price of a house, a couple 100,000. You make 20% net profit. That's 40 grand. So the margins are bigger. I think property. There's so much money made in property. The pie is so big. And when I started, I was deal selling. I was doing management. I was managing properties. I was charging a small amount, but because the pie is so big. Oh, there's a 7-bed HMO that needs managing. I'll manage it. 10% of the rent. If the rent's $4,000, that's 400 quid from managing one property. Do that 4 or 5 times, that's an average salary. Like, the pie is so big in property. And when the pie is big and there's a lot of profit in there, you're just taking a little bit by adding a little bit of value. It's life-changing for a 17-year-old kid like me at the time.
Wow, okay. So, what's the 3 best advice you have received in property?
3 best pieces I've received...
When you started?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, I don't know if someone actually said this per se, but the marketplace does not discriminate. And what I mean by that is, there are people that would discriminate against you because you're 17, because you didn't go to university, or for whatever reason. But remembering, if you're good, if you find good deals, like you're not from this country, English is not your first language, doesn't matter. Why? Because you're good. You find good deals, they'll pay you. Now, there might be some people that discriminate. I've had people that would judge me and being all like, what the heck? Like, I could tell they were just like, you're just a kid. And then 3 months later, they're my customers. They're buying from me. They might be racist, prejudiced, whatever. But what do they care about more than anything? Themselves. So if I can offer them value...
That's all matters to.
That's the biggest thing. Second thing I would say is, it's in property, it's all about your formulas. So when you're first getting into property, it's really tempting. I did it when I started. Could I see myself living there myself? I was like that. Oh, maybe one day I could move it. Get that out of your head. You won't need to live in that house yourself. If you're buying because you're thinking, oh, it's a nice feel, the garden's nice, and you're going to throw away your brains. When emotions are high, intelligence is low. So make sure that when you're investing with your emotions. And I think the third thing would probably be to discipline your disappointment. Because in the property game, it's slow, it's painful.
Yeah.
The average house might take 3, 4, 5, 6 months just to complete. And it might be that just before it completes, falls through.
Yeah.
Don't get emotional. Don't be a motivated buyer. Be an intelligent investor dealing with motivated sellers. It's very easy because you're so desperate to get something. You're so desperate for it to work. You'll take a bad deal. A bad deal is worse than no deal. Same as tenants. I want to get a tenant quick. A bad tenant is worse than no tenant.
Yeah.
So don't be passionate and motivated, but don't be desperate. Because then you end up making desperate choices and ending up with poverty will creep upon you like a thief in the night.
That's really good advice, actually. And what's the 3 worst advice you have received about property?
Take it easy. Money will change you. Be careful because you know rich people are greedy. Money will make you. Be careful. You might fall in love with money. Money won't change you. Money will just make you bigger of what you already are. And then third worst piece of advice in property, don't get into debt. Don't get into debt. Save up, buy it, pay off the mortgage. Doesn't make any sense. That's the way to get poor slow.
So with this, that people have that in mind that if you have money, you are greedy or you're a bad person.
Yeah.
What do you think, where that saying or that message came from in the first place?
When you're rich, you have power. And when you're powerful, if you're a bad person, it's very obvious. If you're the big boss man of a company and you're really rich and you can do what you want and you can tell people to move and they'll listen to you because you've got money and you're a jerk, it's very obvious. Oh, that person's a jerk. Oh, it's because he's rich. No, he's a jerk and being rich has made him be able to be a jerk. Whereas you've got the poor man who's got no money, who's a jerk, who slaps his wife, who's desperate for money, who scratches the lottery cards every day, loves money, and he's a jerk, but he's poor so no one notices. So being rich doesn't make you a jerk. It doesn't make you greedy. Some of the most beautiful, generous, humble people I've ever met are multi-millionaires, sometimes billionaires. Some of the most kind, soft-hearted people. So I think, it's easy to just be like, oh, they're rich because they're a jerk. And also Hollywood, like the whole way, if you watch in a movie, the bad guy's always rich. You know, Titanic, the bad guy's rich. And then the good guy is poor. So I think we're brainwashed into thinking that rich people are bad. Stops people having ambition to be rich.
Yeah, and I believe the news channel, if one rich guy does good things, they will never ever show that.
No, they're very rare.
Yeah.
And if they do, it won't go viral.
Yeah.
I mean, geez, if I want to make the newspapers, which I sometimes do, I want to make the newspapers, it'd be fun. I know I have to do something bad. If I can give away £1 million to build schools and the newspapers aren't interested, but then if I get a chainsaw, kick someone's door down, now it's viral. Now it's in The Sun, The Mirror, GB News, it's on TV, everyone's talking about it because it fits with the narrative, rich people are jerks, rich people are greedy, isn't this landlord bad? They'll jump at that. So that's the unfortunate world that we live in. The media are corrupt.
So another question, Samuel, for you is, if you lose everything tomorrow and you have to start everything from scratch, what will be your first 3 moves?
The first 3 moves, number 1 is I would get around good people. I would tap into a network. I'd join BNI. I'd go to meetings and I'd find rich people, find investors. Number 2 is I would just find out what they want. Okay, you're rich. What's your problem? What's your pain? Oh, you've got a lot of properties and there's some empty ones because you're really busy and you're really stressed out. Cool. Oh, you've got a lot of money and you're struggling to find your next perfect deal. All right, cool. What's your issue? Oh, you've got some tenants and they're not moving out and you're pulling your hair out. All right, cool. So I'd get around rich people. I'd find out what their problems are and then I'd get good at finding the solution to solve their problems. Like, okay, you've got bad tenants that you're struggling to get rid of. Okay, let me go deal with it. How much? How much would it be worth to you if I could get them out in the next week? Oh, it'd be worth 10 grand. All right, cool. Go speak to the tenants. Hey, you need to go. Oh, there's 4 of you. I'll give you £1,000 each if you're gone by Friday. Now I made 6 grand. That's just obviously an example. Oh, you're looking for a deal. All right, what kind of deal are you looking for? You're looking for a property, a development opportunity in London. All right, cool. Give me the specifics. All right, cool. If I can find that, how much? If you're going to make 100 grand profit, how much? Oh, you'll pay me 5? All right, no problem. Let me go find it. Now I'm going to go to all the, let me get you proof of funds. Cool, thank you very much, Mr. John. Right now, boom, go to all the agents, network, hustle. Showing the agents, this is John, I'm working for John, this is his proof of funds, this is what I need, negotiate, hustle, go out in the rain on a Tuesday afternoon while John's in playing golf in his business meetings, blah, 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 blah. Get John's deal. Boom, John, I got your deal. And then the fourth thing, I know you said 3, but would be to learn to close. Don't always be closing, but know when to close.
Okay.
And close smooth. Because closing is everything in business when it's done right.
So what do you think when people just want to negotiate and win the conversation or win the deal every time? Is that a good thing, or sometimes you should be open?
No, I think it's a bad thing. It's not about trying to get the sale. It's not about trying to win the negotiation. It's about finding out what the person wants, and if you can give it to them and you can also make profit, then give it to them. If you can't, sometimes people say to me, they're like, you know, oh, I'm an investor and I'm looking for this, and I know I can't find that. That's not a realistic expectation. So I'll say, look, I don't think I'm going to be able to find that. If you can find a deal source that can find you that, pay them, because I don't think it's out there. But if it is, good. Don't buy from me. And then they can either not buy, or they go, oh, okay, maybe you can reset their expectations. All right, well, what kind of things are you finding? So yeah, I think listen. You know, listen to what people want. Don't try and win the deal. If I'm trying to sell you something, I'm going to ask you what you're looking for. You know, what kind of a deal are you after? Listen to what you're saying. If I don't think this is going to be a good fit, then I'm going to say, all right, well, look, let's keep in touch. Right now, I'm not sure whether I can find the perfect fit for you, but let's stay in touch. Next, I'm not trying to close you. Why? 80% of the problems that people have in business are from 20% of the people. And it's the people that probably they should never have done business with in the first place.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, we had a client, I think Dave yesterday, our expectation was way too high.
Yeah.
And the budget was too tight. So she won this bedroom property in this area, 2 toilet bathroom, and that's her criteria. So like, look, this is way too much.
Come back to me when you spoke to all the other deal sources and you realised that your expectations are too high. Then come back to me.
Yeah.
And then when you come back to me and your expectations are correct, then we do business. Or it might be that you just can't offer what they want. Like sometimes people will ask me questions. They'll say, oh, I'm looking for, you know, can you source me something in Portugal? Well, I could, but right now I haven't really got the connections or the inclination to go to find something in Portugal. So, you know what, let me connect you to a guy that specialises in Portugal for investments, because right now I haven't really got anything going, and that's fine. You know, I could sell them, and it's like, is it worth it though? Do I want to do that? Maybe not.
You want to take another hassle.
Exactly.
Right, okay. So, you had a boxing match with Rob Moore.
Yes.
How did you feel when you took his 100,000?
Oh, amazing. That was a great night. I was buzzing after that for weeks. I mean, went out for a nice club, hired out a whole venue, smoked big fat cigars, bought everybody drinks, and I was buzzing for weeks. Not because of the 100 grand, just because it felt good kicking his head in.
Are you still in touch with him?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, he's not a bad guy. I think he took it a bit sore, but he's not a bad guy. He's a good sport for doing it. Big props to anybody. And he did fight well. He was not a pussy. I thought he would be a pussy. He was not a pussy. He threw good shots. He was quick, and he's older than me, and he was a lot lighter than me, and I have nothing but respect for that. But no, it was a good win.
All right. Okay. Congratulations on that.
Thank you, brother.
So where do you get the confident idea of walking around in shots in London with your Financial Freedom Challenge?
I don't care what people think of me. I don't care if people... I'm just that way inclined. I'm not bothered. I think because of all I've achieved in business, having to go out with a dry mouth and nervously pitch when I'm 17 to estate agents, you have to create that gene of just, I don't care. I don't care what people think. They're not going to be at my funeral anyway. I'm just going to crack on and do what needs to be done to get the job done. And then when you develop that, build that muscle, because it is a muscle. It's like anything. If you go to the gym for the first time and trying to squat with a big weight on your back and your legs aren't used to it, you ain't going to be able to do it. Got to build the muscle, and then you become resilient to it, and the muscles grow. And the same way in business, I've learned to build the muscle of not caring what people think. Now, I'm not talking about I don't care what my customers think of my products. That's different. I'm talking about strangers. Oh, they've got an opinion. So for me, when I'm doing a Financial Freedom Challenge, So it's like a superpower because I don't give a monkeys what anybody thinks. I'll walk around naked around the streets of London. People look at me weird. I don't care. Yeah, man, I'm overweight and I'm walking through naked. Do you want to help me out? Should we do some business together? I don't care. And I think that's what helps me win when I do those social experiments and start again from scratch with nothing.
So, as you have done a podcast with Andrew Tate, so how is he in person? Is he holding back as he's seen in social media, or how is he in person?
I mean, I've met him twice, and he was very similar to what he is just on camera. Andrew Tate is completely just speaks his mind. He is who he is. A lot of people that you meet, a lot of celebrities that I've met, like Robert Kiyosaki, for instance, I met him. He was a jerk, which was really disappointing because he's a hero to me. And when he was just completely, like, totally nothing like what he's like on camera. Nothing. I was like, damn. And I've met lots of people like that. People that are just jerks, or they have a little bit of fame and then it gets to their head and they're super important and they've got all security around them. I'm like, bro, no one's gonna rob you. Calm down. You know, a lot of people are like that. A lot of celebrities, they're a bit pompous. But Andrew Tate, nah, man, he was chill. I picked him up actually. He broke down in his supercar, so I had to go pick him up. And he was just chill. He was just cool. I like him, and he says what he thinks. And the second time I met him, he did have security with him, but that's fine. There's nothing wrong with having security. Andrew Tate security, they're just quietly there doing the thing in the background, you know, ready. But he's not. He doesn't make a show of anything. He just speaks. He just speaks what he thinks, and he was really helpful to me as well certainly with the beginning of my weight loss journey. Like he was WhatsApping me and stuff, like encouraging me, and it's funny because he's probably even nicer in real life than on camera. Because on camera, you know how like they fat shame, you know, the Tates. Certainly Tristan does. I was fat when I met Andrew Tate. He didn't fat shame me. He didn't need to because I knew. He didn't need to. He was actually really nice. So I got love for Andrew Tate. I don't know him super well. I wouldn't say like, oh, we're really close mates or anything like that. Of course, no, I've met him twice. But from my experience with him, I think he is exactly what he portrays.
Right. Okay. How do you know him in the first place?
I met him on Instagram. We were talking on Instagram.
Right.
And this was before he was mega famous. I think he might have. I can't remember exactly how it started. But yeah, through social media.
Right. Do you have the same relation with Tristan as well?
Nope. Don't know Tristan from Adam. Never met him. Never spoke to him. Nothing. I like him though.
Right.
I think he's a cool guy. I'd be down for meeting him, but never met him. Never spoke to him.
So after you did the podcast with Andrew Tate, your business partner or anyone in the business raising concern?
Oh yeah. People mortified. You know, unfollow, and then I had some of my accounts taken down for a bit, suspended. My Instagram, I was totally shadow banned on Instagram. You couldn't find me, even if you search my full name, Samuel Leeds, like didn't come up.
Just because you did the podcast.
Yeah, and they told me. It's not like Instagram just did it quietly. Like it was all deleted. Piers Morgan didn't have that. Piers Morgan put stuff with him and Andrew Tate, and it was fine. But then when I did it, it was just TikTok videos all taken down. Banned, suspended on accounts, people going mad messaging me. I mean, to be fair, most of the actual audience were saying, oh, we love the interview, it's great.
Yeah, it's great.
You know what I mean? If you even look at the comments, there's very few people that were saying bad stuff, but, you know, there's the odd crazy person. But at the end of the day, if people want to unfollow me, I don't care. I don't need Instagram. You know, I don't need TikTok. I like it. I'd be upset if my Instagram got deleted. It'd be a shame. I'd lose business. It would affect me. But I don't need it. I'm not like a lot of influencers that rely on social media. They make all their money from their social media. And if their social media, like Logan Paul, who's super careful and conservative, and because he got cancelled before. And he said it was one of the worst things that ever happened to him. So now if YouTube shut his account down, he'd be screwed. I'm not being horrible about Logan Paul. I'm sure he's got business assets. He's got his Prime and stuff like that. But a lot of people need to be liked in case someone tries to cancel them, and then they get deplatformed, and now they're pushing boxes in Sainsbury's. Whereas people like me, I don't need to be on social media. I've got businesses. You can close down my accounts. I could go anonymous. I could be complete nobody, delete all my social media accounts, and I'd still be stinking rich until I'm dead. So I don't need it. I like it, but I'm not going to pander. If I want to interview somebody on my channel, I'll interview them. I'm not going to be like, worried about it. So yeah, there's a lot of people that are super, and it's actually really bad because it means that we don't get lots of different opinions and voices. It's just, what's the narrative that's accepted? Oh, well, we'll just run with that one narrative, you know? So it's actually dangerous.
If there's any new opinion, just cancel.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what the social media.
They tried to cancel me.
And how did you get back?
How can they? Don't matter. How can you cancel a rich businessman who has millions of pounds of property? You can't. How can you? Unless I did something like terrible and I got sent to prison. But I live a good, clean life. I'm not perfect, but you know, I've been slandered all over the internet, and I've had bad news articles about me and people trying to cancel me. But doesn't really, you know, I'm not worried about it. I just live a good life, have a good business.
So that's with the social media. What about any business partner raising concern over that? Or saying do not associate with him and things like that?
Yeah. People in my business would tell me not to do certain things like that, yeah.
And how did you respond?
Well, they're my consultants. I do what I want. Ultimately, it's my decision. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, I'm glad that I've got people in my company that will disagree with me and that will argue with me and tell me to be careful. I get all my videos looked at. Every time I put a YouTube video out, pretty much, my lawyers will look at it before it goes out. And just make sure that it's all good and tell me if there's anything that I shouldn't put out.
Right, I see.
But when they tell me, oh, that's not good, you shouldn't put out that, then I make a call. Sometimes I put it out anyway. But at least I know the risk.
Okay.
I'm paying them to consult me and give me a risk assessment on what I'm doing and what I'm saying, not to tell me what I can and can't do.
Yeah, I agree with you. So, Samuel, when you have a problem, who's the first person you ring?
Depends what the problem is. If the problem is a business problem, oh my gosh, we've got some issue on the business, I'll call my brother. If it's a problem with family problem, personal problem, I'll call my wife. Depends what the problem is. I've got like about 10 people, mentors, close people around that I'll call, and depending on the nature of the problem. If I've got a problem, I jump on the scales and I'm like, damn, I'm not losing weight. I'm not going to ring my property mentor because he'd be like, that ain't nothing to do with me. So it depends what the issue is.
No, right, okay. So as you are in business, right? So is there any business related topic where you had too much pressure, like a pain in the stomach? How do you respond to that kind of pressure or stress?
I do get stressed sometimes. When I get stressed, what happens to me, you mentioned pain in the stomach. I don't have pain in the stomach. If I'm really stressed, well, first I have a dark cloud. Not physical, but I just feel like a heaviness. And that happens before a fight as well. If I've got a fight coming up, I've got a fight coming up on Sunday. I'm not too.
This Sunday?
Yeah, this Sunday. Yeah.
Oh, really?
I'm not too worried. It's not a big fight. It's like an interclub thing, so it's fine. But if I've got a big fight coming up or something, or you know, like just something stressful, there's a big property deal that could go pear-shaped, or I've got a court case, or I've got some thing going on, some big thing going on, a bit of a dark cloud, you know. And then if I get really stressed from just working too hard, I get I get spots and stuff on my face, like I might get like cold sores and stuff around my face. But my attitude is, when I look back 10 years ago at the problems that I had that would give me that dark cloud, I look back now and I'm like, that's a small problem. So when I have that dark cloud, I'm getting cold sores or whatever. Now I think, when I'm 40, I'm 32 now, I'll probably look back and be like, Samuel, grow up, mate. Why are you so worried? What's the worst thing that can happen? Relax. So when I'm stressed like that, I just see it as I see it as, you know, earlier I talked about the muscle. The muscle has to tear to grow back. So when I'm stressed, I just think, okay, I'm growing. But sometimes if I'm stressed, if I'm like getting cold sores and I'm just run down, I'll just take a couple of days off. But if you've got a dark cloud, a couple of days off don't help. If you've got a fight coming up in 3 weeks and you're stressed, you can't go anywhere. You go to Miami, relax on the beach, chilling out, de-winding. It's worse. You need to be in the gym. So, it depends what the stress is. If you're stressed, it's normally because either you're scared of something that's going to happen, in which case, you better get prepared then. You've got a court case coming up, a fight coming up, there's a deal that could go pear-shaped, don't bury your head in the sand, face it. Or if you're stressed, it's just because you're overworked. Cold sores, not sleeping properly.
Yeah.
In which case, find a convenient time. Might be that you can't, right now you've got too much going on, but just be like, right, I'm just blocking my diary out next week and putting 2-3 days aside, and I'm just going to go and relax, do nothing, be with family, go to the spa, get a massage, and then come back fresh. And you have to do that sometimes.
Just to relax and come back with new energy.
For me, massages is a good one. Just being at home, just chilling with the family, maybe going away. I go away every for me, a year is 3 months. So every 3 months, that's for me, that's like a year. So every year, 3 months, I go away on holiday for 2 weeks with my wife.
No, any business related meetings, anything like that is often.
No business. Well, maybe a little bit.
Maybe more.
If a taxman's listening, definitely there's some business. but yeah, it's like, you know, just for me to be able to just de-stress. I might do a little bit of business, but I just want to just de-stress, unwind, and also it gives me something to look forward to. Because I'm oh man, I'm working hard. Well, don't worry, because in 6 weeks, I'll be in Barbados. A little something to keep you going, and then you go to Barbados, recharge, come back, right, 3 months now, 3 months stint, bang. Yeah.
Right, okay. So I have another question where you posted a picture as well, you and your wife Amanda flying in the business class, where your kids flying in economy. I think that came in the article as well.
It's not quite correct. We weren't flying business, we were flying first.
Okay.
But yeah, of course. We if we're going on holiday and we're bringing the kids, then we're bringing the nanny, and the kids go economy, we go first. I still want to have a holiday. I don't want to be in economy with the kids.
Why you are doing that to your kids?
I'm not doing anything to my kids. I'm taking them on a beautiful holiday for 2 weeks. It's brilliant. They don't care. They're kids. To them, it is first. To them, the seat's massive in economy. When they're big and they're grown, then they can pay for themselves and go first with me. Until that, they're going economy. I don't see what the big deal is. Yeah, the press went mad for that. It's just crazy.
It was all over the news, isn't it?
All over the news. Everybody does that. You don't want to take kids in first class. You just can't. You've got people having business meetings in the morning who are really tired that have spent like years saving up to take that seat, and then they've got a 2-year-old next to them. It's not appropriate. It's wrong. It's immoral.
And I think you're teaching your kids as well.
Exactly. Yeah, because what happens if the kids are 16 and then all they've known is big mansion, big cars that massage you and have TVs in them, and when you fly, yeah, that's just a plane, isn't it? I thought all planes just had, you know, beds in them and you had champagne, and that's just life, right? And then now they're 18 and their friends from school say, oh, should we go skiing to Canada? Yeah, man. And then they get on a plane, have a shock of their life. Yeah. They need to understand what the real world is. I take my kids, I take them to Slough, half an hour from here, to some of the horriblest areas, horriblest houses, and I'll point at the houses. I'll say, you see that little house there? What do you think of it? And they'll be like, small. I'm like, yeah, it's small, isn't it? Tiny little house. What do you think of the street? Mattresses all over, broken glass. Oh, it's not nice, it's not safe. It's not nice, is it? That's the kind of house you're going to live in when you're older, unless you listen to me and you work hard and you build a business and you help daddy on the business. Let me take you to some nice areas. See, these houses, teaching them. You know, we don't just have this life because, oh, this is just what life's like. This is a result of blood, sweat, grit, tears, determination, pressure, dark cloud, pushing through and preparing. It didn't happen by accident. Kids need to know that.
Yes. But people, they don't see that. They see that, like, look at the parents.
They don't know anything. People that say, oh, you shouldn't send your kids economy while you fly first. They don't know anything. They ain't rich. They don't know what they're talking about. They ain't got enough money to fly first. And if they did, they won the lottery, they'd spoil their kids. They'd run them ruined. Exactly. And then in 5 years, they'd all be broke again. Back on the streets in Slough. They can't judge. They ain't got a clue.
I think, I was discussing it with my family as well. What you're doing is actually teaching your kids the value. Because if they get everything on the table, they will never value the things that you're providing.
Exactly.
Right? So I know you might not answer this question, but is there any competitor you think in the UK?
Competitors in the UK? Yeah. Oh yeah, there's loads of competitors. I mean, geez, I was bidding on a property just yesterday, and my offer was accepted. And then after my offer was accepted, the agent rang me and said, "I'm really sorry, someone's offered higher." That's a competitor. If there wasn't competitors, then it would mean that you're doing something weird. So I've got, competitors. I've got deal source, so now got lots of similar things people try to do. It's good. Competition's good. Competition is what makes the world good. Yeah. Because if businesses didn't have competition, then they would be sloppy. And if then they were sloppy, then the average person, the average consumer would not have a good service. It's like hospitals. Why are hospitals so rubbish? Because they're government, man. If it's government, why are council houses so rubbish? Why, when we look at communist countries where the government provide everything because it's so terrible and abysmal standard because there's no competition. This is the house, this is what you get, this is it.
Yeah.
Whereas with business, people can choose. I don't like that house, thank you very much. I'm going to move to a different house. Yeah. It's like HMOs. When I was doing HMOs 15 years ago, you didn't need en suites. You could have a shabby little room. You could get 350, 400, no problem. Now those rooms will sit empty because there's too many people doing it. So now you've got to step up. Okay, I'm going to do my room like a boutique hotel room. I'm going to get an ensuite. I'm going to get a gardener and a cleaner. We're going to include Netflix. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. You have to get better. So it's good. So if I've got competitors, yeah, I've got competitors. Rob Moore's a competitor. I knocked him out or knocked him down, beat him up. But if you've got a competitor, rather than I don't want them to be competing with me. It's like, no, it's good. Yeah, man. It's a free world. Go, you do your thing, and I'll just be better. And then people can try you out, and then they'll come back to me every time because I'm the best. My rooms are the best. My house is the best. My training is the best. My service is the best. Everything that I do is the best. And if it's not, then I'm gonna have to prepare better and make it the best. You've got to be the best.
Right. So do you agree? So there are two kind of competition. One is compete on the value or the service on the market you offer.
Yep.
The one type of competition is they just try to pull you down so they can step up.
Oh yeah, I mean, listen, there's times. Generally, if you've got a competitor that's just doing their thing in their lane and just being better than you, then you need to be like, okay, I need to get better. If they're a competitor and then they're trying to hurt you or trying to damage you, then that's a different story. Then you might need to, and it depends on the circumstances. Firstly, are they doing anything unlawfully? If they're defaming you or slandering you and saying stuff that's not true, then if it's a legal issue, then you take it to the courts, and then you go beat them in the courts. If it's not a legal issue, if it's just a case of, they're just playing dirty tactics and whatever, you deal with everything case by case basis. But most, generally speaking, most competitors, they're not bothered about you. They're doing their own thing, and you just got to be better. But yeah, if they're coming out, or if they're trying to steal from you, or trying to poach your customers, and they're doing it in an unlawful way, then you deal with it legally. We do that. We have to sometimes things go legal, and that's just it. But try not to go legal if you can help it, because this is very expensive, but it has to be a last resort. Yeah,
that's the last resort if there's nothing.
It's a last resort.
So as you said, you have what you call people making articles on you about this, that, criticizing. So how do you respond to those?
Again, it depends. If people are criticising me, I had a couple of people this morning on LinkedIn writing critical stuff about me, and I responded to it and said, "Oh, thank you, for your note, a really interesting perspective," and put kind of like my side. And then they responded and said, "Oh wow, you responded, and that makes sense." And now they're liking my posts, and so if you've got a critic, critics are good. Critics are good because if people are saying stuff about you that's bad, and they're criticising you, it gives you an opportunity to prove them wrong, to be better. Maybe what they're saying is true. So you've got to listen. If people are criticising you, so often there'll be truth in it. So you have to go, okay, that's interesting. Now it might be that there's truth in it, but you don't care. Oh, I really hate Samuel's deal sourcing company because he doesn't source in Portugal. All right. Thank you for your criticism. No, we don't. Or it might be, oh, I really don't like Samuel's deal sourcing company because they're really slow at getting back to you. Thank you for that. Now we'll go relook at our systems. We can maybe improve that. So criticism is a good thing. You need to lean into criticism when people are saying bad stuff. Again, there's criticism, and then there's defamation. There's, I think this is bad, or I think that this could be improved, or this bothers me, how this business does this. That's criticism. And then there's defamation, which is, defamation would be, if let's say I said about you, Nick is a thief. Okay. On what basis? Oh, I just think he's a thief. It's my opinion. Yeah, but your opinion has to be based on fact. That won't let you off. You can't go to court and just say, well, I know. In fact, this happened. There was a guy, Mr. Fox, who said who tweeted and said somebody was a paedophile. And he went to court and he was just like, well, I think that they are a paedophile. And the judge said, based on what? Well, it's just my opinion. Yeah, but your opinion has to be based on fact. You can't say, I think Nick's a murderer. Okay. Based on what? I just think he is. He just gives me murderer vibes. That's defamation. You will go to court and you will have to pay up everything you own probably to pay. Because defamation is when it damages you and when it's not true. So people don't understand the law of defamation. They just think they can stand behind stuff and just say, oh, it's just my opinion. Samuel's a thief. That's just my opinion. But you haven't got any facts for that. Whereas if you said, I went to Samuel's YouTube videos and I think that he's arrogant and I don't like him and he's got a really annoying voice, I'm never watching it again, it's crap. That's an opinion. Okay, you don't like my voice, you find it annoying, you don't like my stuff, that's your opinion, all right, fine. But if they say something that's not true, then okay, wow, well let's look at this then. And then it's a case of working out, has it damaged you? I get people saying stuff all the time, that's not true. TikTok, someone might just say something stupid. Okay, one comment amongst 1,000, no one saw it. It's a bit annoying. I might delete it, maybe. If it's defamatory, someone goes on and says you're a murderer, you're not going to just leave that sat there. It's ridiculous. Might delete it. But if lots of people have seen it and it's now damaged, and now I've got people saying, oh my gosh, I saw this thing. Is it true? Oh, I think I have to pause our business relationship. Okay, now that's not true, and it's cost me money. Now I'm suing you. Now you're going to have to pay. You've knocked down the wall. You have to pay for it to be built back. So I will sue people at times, but if they're criticising me, not. If they're criticising me, and sometimes your biggest critics actually are criticising you because they want you to be better. That is the case. They actually like you. They want you to win. They're not haters. They're just saying, I wish that he'd do this more, and this isn't good. And people are so thin-skinned, they can't take criticism. You have to. Have to listen, lean into it, don't take it personal, grow from it. But if it's defamatory and it's not true and it's hurting your business, I think you need to take a stand. Grant Cardone, I think, did he?
He sued T-Mobile Phones CEO, ex-CEO.
Yeah, I don't know too much about that case, but I thought fair enough. If someone, I really like Grant Cardone. I've met him many times. But if someone's saying something that's not true, sue them. Absolutely. You have to protect. And it's not about being petty or trying to. Someone said to me one time, they're like, "Oh, are you suing them because you're trying to get revenge?" No, it's not about revenge. It's about if someone knocked down your wall, it has to now be paid to be built back. They knocked it down. They need to pay. This isn't revenge. This is it's justice, and it's just the law. So people really need to get clued up on this because people have no idea, no idea. Like that Mr. Fox when he just said, "Oh, you're a paedophile." Hi, that's my opinion. I think you are. Oh, wow. You can't do that.
Yeah.
Oh, free speech. No. I believe in free speech. Free speech is having your opinion, but your opinion needs to be based on fact. You can't go around saying whatever you want with no consequences and ruining people's businesses, ruining people's lives. And just say, oh, it's free speech. No, that's not free speech. Free speech is being able to have an opinion and speak freely about what you think, but it needs to be based on fact.
Yes. Yeah. Wow, that's a really good podcast. I learned a lot from you, Samuel, today. So before we wrap up everything, what message do you want to give someone who's starting a business or struggling a business? Any message you'd like to give?
Yeah, I would say be confident and courageous because the biggest thing that holds people back is thinking that they're not good enough and they can't do it. We all start somebody. Yeah. Nobody knows everything about everything. Take where you are and just get going and start and get around good people because who you're around is absolutely 100% who you will become.
Wow. So guys, thank you very much. That's it. A podcast with Samuel. And Samuel, I really appreciate your time.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
In on us.
Thank you so much.